This week in Jamaica Now.
It's a policy concern.
The US says it has problems with Jamaica's law not recognizing same-sex unions. NCB troubles. Why are the company's top 2 executives being replaced? 37 Haitians to be deported. The government says there was no asylum request. And
we understand the trauma that they have been through because of this sewage line collapse, and we are moving to address it swiftly.
Emergency work underway to stem flow of sewage on the streets of Jamaica's capital city. I'm Jovan Johnson, and this is Jamaica Now. The United States government says it is concerned that Jamaica would not give legal recognition to same-sex spouses. Jamaica's law does not recognize same-sex unions. U.S. State Department spokesman Matthew Miller disclosed his country's position on Thursday as he indicated that he was not aware that Jamaica had denied granting diplomatic immunity to the spouse of an American diplomat in a same-sex union.
Is there an actual case of a diplomat whose same-sex spouse is being denied those privileges in Jamaica, or is that not accurate?
It's a policy concern at this point. It's a
policy concern, not a specific
Correct.
concern. Okay.
Different question?
That it could happen, or that it has happened?
That it is a policy concern that same-sex spouses would not be granted the same rights and privileges.
But has it actually happened?
I'm not aware of it happening with respect to a specific individual.
It's a concern of mine that I might get hit by a bus when I walk
it is
out
a
on the
concern
street,
over a specific policy. That could be applied.
But it hasn't been yet.
Not that I'm aware of.
Now, earlier this week, news emerged that given Jamaica's stance, the U.S. advised that diplomatic visas for some high-ranking Jamaican diplomats currently serving in the U.S. would not be renewed at the end of the current 5-year term. The State Department said as of August 2021, diplomats from all worldwide bilateral missions to the U.S. are accredited for a maximum of 5 years. People like ambassadors were exempt. Foreign Minister Kamina Johnson-Smith and the U.S. Embassy in Kingston have downplayed reports of a diplomatic row. However, the Jamaican government has not addressed reports that it denied the request for diplomatic immunity or whether it sought a waiver for any representative whose U.S. visa expires this year. Patrick Hilton and Dennis Cohen say they are ready to negotiate suitable packages in the aftermath of their separation from the top 2 posts at the NCB Financial Group, Jamaica's largest financial institution. NCB announced Tuesday that CEO Hilton and his deputy Cohen, who've worked nearly 20 years at the company, were on leave and will be permanently replaced. The changes came a day after the group said its largest shareholder and chairman, Michael Leachin, resumed his role earlier than planned. He went on a 3-month leave in May. Mr. Leachin complained in recent weeks that he was unhappy about the governance and efficiency at the NCB Group. He also lamented that dividends have not been paid since May 2021 and that he had to sell assets to clear expenses. Now, in a joint statement, Mr. Hilton and Mr. Cohen said they've done nothing wrong regarding their compensation and that they have accepted payments approved by the Michael Leachin-chaired board. Mr. Hilton said part of the separation package includes deliberations about 95 million shares worth some $13.8 billion that both men returned in July 2021 in a compensation deal.
We negotiated a package going forward, right, which would represent some components. The components would be the fact that we had surrendered 13.8 billion, so we needed to be compensated for it.
Right.
It would include the fact that we would have to give us back the value that we had surrendered.
Yeah, over time, and which is what I was
asking. We didn't have a specific. We didn't put a specific time, so we'll pay me back in 5 years or 3 years. What I always said was, just give us this compensation package in exchange for this, and it was agreed.
Right.
So all the point I'm simply making now is that there's nothing in our compensation that was not approved.
The changes prompted Jamaica's central bank to release a statement telling the public that the NCB Group and its subsidiaries, which include the NCB Bank, are financially healthy. The police are yet to establish a motive for the shooting murder of Ainsley Parkins, an elected local government representative and member of the opposition People's National Party. Mr. Parkins was the councillor for the South Borough Division in the Portmore and St. Catherine Municipal Corporations. Deputy Commissioner of Police Fitz Bailey said Mr. Parkins was shot dead in his car.
Based on our own assessment, it is obvious that the shooters were very close to him, but we have no further information regarding how it happened. The investigation has commenced. We have assembled a top-level team headed by CID headquarters and the Major Investigation Division to lead on this investigation. I am appealing to members of the public who may have seen or heard anything to call us at 311 or 811 with any information that you have.
Mr. Parkins was reportedly carrying out an assessment of projects in the Southborough area. The government and the PNP have condemned the killing. The Passport, Immigration and Citizenship Agency is finalizing arrangements for 37 Haitians who landed by boat in Jamaica on July 10 to be deported to their home country. But in a last-ditch effort, human rights group Freedom Imaginaries has written to the government asking for the forced return of the Haitians to be halted, pointing to directions of the United Nations Refugee Agency. On Wednesday, Information Minister Robert Montague said the Haitians did not seek asylum and the government had no choice but to deport them in accordance with international law. 29 Haitians, 24 men and 5 women were charged with illegal entry, and on Monday each was fined $7,000 or 3 days in prison at hard labor. The other 8 are children.
The other thing that we must take into consideration is not to assume that the intended destination of these individuals was Jamaica. There have been circumstances in the past where, due to the trade winds, they are seeking to go to the north, but they end up in the south. So I'm not speculating, don't want to speculate, but because they have not applied for asylum, then a particular process has to take place under Jamaican law.
Earlier in the week, Prime Minister Andrew Holness urged countries in the European Union to seriously consider contributing financially to the efforts to help alleviate the humanitarian and security challenges facing Haiti. He made the call while addressing the EU Caribbean leaders meeting in Brussels, Belgium. MP Robert Montague of the ruling JLP has alleged that the Integrity Commission plans to raid his house over apparent lingering concerns about his income and liabilities. The St. Mary Western representative claimed in Parliament that the Commission is targeting him for his criticisms of its report into the use of his discretion to grant gun licenses when he was National Security Minister.
They are trying to shut me up and they are hell-bent on destroying me. Madam Speaker, it seems as if there is a witch hunt out on me. I understand that they are planning, Madam Speaker, to raid my house. I have no problem or objection. Madam Speaker, a person from a media house has asked around in my community exactly where I live because they are coming to cover a raid by the Commission at my house. If this planned raid is a fact, is this an abuse or a misuse of power? Luckily, Madam Speaker, my mother taught me to pray and my constituents. They taught me never to tell my God how big my problems are, rather to tell my problems how big my God is.
The Integrity Commission has revealed that 6 lawmakers are being investigated for illicit enrichment. The law blocks it from naming any of the officials until a report is tabled in Parliament. The Woof Group, developers of the US $200 million luxury resort in St. Thomas, which has caused a rift with residents in St. Thomas over access to the Bob Marley Beach, has got the green light to start construction. Residents have also raised concerns about the ownership of a portion of lands on the beach. Norman Stevenson, of one of the families claiming ownership of 2.7 acres of land, had applied for an injunction to preserve the property and to stall the construction. On Monday, Supreme Court Judge Maxine Jackson refused to grant the injunction. The Stevenson family has reportedly been operating and residing on the land for over 60 years and is claiming ownership of the land by adverse possession. Now, Donovan Reed, one of the directors of the Woof Group, says an access point has been maintained to the beach on a 2020 master plan submitted to the government for the development that is expected to be completed in 2 years. Relief beckons for residents and business owners of downtown Kingston after Minister in charge of Water, Matthew Samuda, announced an emergency spending of $170 million to replace century-old pipes in the capital city that's been grappling with sewage-flooded streets. For months, residents and business owners and customers complained about the flow of sewage on the roadways in the country's main commercial district and transportation hub. During a tour of the West Street area on Thursday, Minister Samuda said the situation was unacceptable and repairs are underway.
There is no nice way to put it. The lines on West Street and Pigeon Street have virtually collapsed. Now, we are aware that some of these lines are over 100 years old. This problem has persisted for a long time. we are very clear that it has stayed too long, and we are unfortunately reaping what was sown long before our time. But what we are committing to citizens, that we have heard their cries, we understand the trauma that they have been through because of this sewage line collapse, and we are moving to address it swiftly.
19-year-old police recruit Rayandre Pike from Linstead, St. Catherine, reportedly drowned at the Tranquility Bay in southern St. Elizabeth on Monday. The Jamaica Constabulary Force says Rayandre died after trying to save a fellow recruit who got into difficulties in the water. His body was recovered on Tuesday. And that's it for this edition of Jamaica Now, your weekly review of the big news stories. Send us your comments at onlinefeedback@gleanerjm.com. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Jamaica Gleaner and on Facebook at Gleaner Jamaica. Like this video on our YouTube page, turn on your notification and subscribe today. I'm Jovan Johnson, and before we go, the story of 25-year-old Robert Montague and his struggle for employment in the face of autism.
Hello, my name is Robert Montague, and yes, it is true, I have problems securing an employment. At first, I felt competent and hopeful that I would get hired for a job despite my lack of experience, as what they call it. Unfortunately for me, I got rejected and also ghosted. I even at some point applied for, I didn't apply, but I requested at least a 6 months apprenticeship so I can gain experience and some skill development as a on-the-job training in an effort to appeal to them that I'm competent enough for the job that I'm applying for. But of course, it didn't reach out to them.
How are you feeling right now as we speak?
I just feel I still feel a bit hopeful for that whatever I can gain out of it, it's worth it.